maybe you can speak a little bit about the research you did ahead of time before the study. So, and ClinicalTrials.gov and how you use that, because you kind of said that you already knew going in that you would probably meet all the eligibility criteria. So maybe it would be
Right.
useful for others if you could sort of explain how you kind of went through
Sure.
that. Because I think that
Sure.
may not be very intuitive for a lot of people.
Right. So my mutations are MET amplification and EGFR. So in ClinicalTrials.gov, you can enter some keywords with regards to finding clinical trials that apply to you or your mutation or even your type of cancer. So I did a search on lung cancer with MET and EGFR, and it comes up with a bunch of eligible trials, but it can be somewhat challenging to kind of decipher what really applies. So drilling down by location and what health system, I would have traveled, but I preferred not to. And so I really looked in Minnesota for, which is where I live, to find a clinical trial that was close to me. In addition, each clinical trial on ClinicalTrials.gov has eligibility requirements. So for instance, if you've been on a number of lines of treatment, sometimes that excludes you from participating, or if you've been on chemotherapy, or it has to be your first line of chemotherapy, or you can't have brain mets or other different types of tumors, I guess, within your body. So it just depends. It's all very individual on the actual trial. So reading that eligibility requirements and what they will accept and what they will not. There's a lot of performance requirements. So you have to be in relatively, good health. You have to have certain numbers with regards to your labs as well. So it just depends based on what the requirements are for each clinical trial, and they're all going to be different. So when I had looked up the trial that I was participating in, I met all the eligibility requirements. So I knew that barring any type of unusual circumstance, that I would probably be accepted. So.
And I presume after doing that research, also you probably had a chance to talk to your oncologist as well, as far as
yes.
what the
So
options were that you were looking at.
Yep. So I had already brought the clinical trial to him. I knew it was at the Mayo Clinic. I had gone over some of the experiences that I had known some of the other patients that I knew had been on it had. And we talked about that as far as side effects, as far as success or failures, and the potential for what that looked like. So there were also 2 arms on this trial. So I knew that I was only going to be on one option of this trial, and I didn't have the second arm option. And, we discussed why that was and what that meant for me. I felt I was well informed and that I was excited and actually ready to do this clinical trial. And honestly, I was so thankful that I had that information ahead of time and kind of researched it on my own before we had to make the decision to actually move to the clinical trial phase.